My buddy Buffalo Sam. We're gonna talk about the hand we played against each other.
I can't resist this vlogging moment, Sam, Greg. All right, what are we doing? Just like rolling the dice for money?
Vlogging poker is not super easy. For the past couple weeks, I took a break from vlogging poker. I still play poker. Yeah, look in the description for the timestamps if you want to skip right ahead to the hand reviews. But yeah, something to share with you guys. Vlogging poker is not super easy. This is not a complaint or gripe or anything like that. But yeah, when I'm at a table, I'm basically multitasking a bunch. On top of trying to play good poker, I'm constantly making sure the camera angle is good, hole cards are in frame, and other people's faces are not in frame. Constantly keeping track of the action, cards, stack sizes, if there's an all-in pot, etc. And if there's an interesting hand, I have to immediately jot everything down that I just mentioned, and also what I was thinking at that point, right? My thought process. And oftentimes in the middle of that, like the next hand will already have been dealt. So I'd be focused on playing a hand while trying to keep all that information in mind. You guys get the idea. So all of that stuff does take away from just the pure enjoyment of only playing poker. And I missed that. So I decided to play a few sessions without thinking about vlogging at all, and I'm really glad I did that. So everything does get easier with experience. This would be episode number 43. And by the way, thank you so much for your support. I would not have made it this far without you guys. So yeah, thank you so much. But yeah, there's a different kind of enjoyment and fulfillment for vlogging and making videos. For me, I just kind of needed a reminder of the enjoyment of just pure poker. Yeah, I did want to give you guys a bankroll update after some sessions. I am on this bankroll challenge. Not sure how many of you actually still care at this point. But I will be sharing a few hands from one of those sessions. But yeah, here are all the sessions that I played. All 1-3 at River Rock. I'll have my total bankroll somewhere for you guys to see. Let's see if there's anything of note. There was one session I lost quite a bit for 1-3. For this one, it was just one of those nights. Kind of glad I didn't vlog it so I don't have to edit and relive it. There was, let me see, one hand I had pocket aces against pocket fours. We were all in on the flop. There was no 4 on the board, so I was way ahead. And of course, 4 comes on the river. So just one of those nights. You guys get the idea. And then there is this session where I won quite a bit for 1-3. I actually have some photos of chip stacks from that night that I'll share. It was a really fun night. I hung out with Greg from Greg Goes All In and Buffalo Sam. We decided to play some 1-3 at River Rock. Here's my stack ending the night. I was in for 1,600 and out for 24 something. It was pretty wild. To my immediate right is Sam's stack. I'll share it with you guys. Yeah, both of us were really deep. The three of us at the same table really stirred up the action, which I think was fun and good for everyone. But I think there were a couple players who did not like it at all. There's one hand that I jammed all in into Greg, and not even 10 seconds into it, this player who wasn't in the hand just called clock on him. Very unreasonable and kind of rude. I'm guessing he was not a subscriber of Greg's. Anyways, let's get into a few hands from that night. Just going to share some hands that I was involved with, either Greg or Sam or both. This hand, I pick up Queen 10 of clubs in the hijack position. Greg is on the button and straddles to $6. Everyone folds to me, and I open to $30. Cutoff folds and Greg defends. It's heads up into a flop of King 3-7, all clubs. I flop a flush. Pretty good. I c-bet for $20. Greg raises to $55. At this point, I'm thinking this is great. He is not raising me light, and I beat so many value hands. All weaker flushes, ace of clubs, king X with a club, and of course the really strong hands like sets, all of which can raise my small c-bet. My plan is to call and trap him, because I could rep just having one high card club. I call. The turn is another king. Not the best card, as sets now improved to a full house, but there's definitely no king X combo that would have made a full house here, and I'm still beating weaker flushes, and king X with a club type hand will have to continue betting here while like being hard to let go. I check with the intention of check raising. Greg bets $75, and then I think for a bit, mainly about what sizing to raise. I decide on all of it. An overbet jam of 1 point something, not quite 2x, the pot. I'm targeting all of the value hands I mentioned that I beat. If he happens to have a weaker flush, it's likely a call for him, since I can rep being over aggressive with king X or just ace of clubs. If he happens to have king X, which I unblock, especially with a club blocker, he can also find a call here. So with our history, there's a lot of hands I feel like he'll call off that lose to me. So I hope to see him tank and then make a crying call. But that's not what happens. He snap calls, and at that point, I know I'm probably dead. I ask him if he has a boat, and he sure does. I get stacked by Greg with pocket threes. Well played, Greg. This hand, I pick up 9-10 of hearts in the big blind. Greg from under the gun +1 opens to $15. Everyone folds to the button, who calls. Sam in the small blind also calls. With good odds and closing the action, I call as well. It's four-way into a flop of Queen 7-4 rainbow. Everyone checks. The turn is a jack. Sam checks to me. I pick up an open-ended straight draw. In a multi-way pot, I think it's more than okay to play passively here. However, I decide to go with a more aggressive route. Since there was no 3-bet pre-flop, I'm eliminating all of the really premium hands like aces, kings, and queens. With the flop action, ace-queen is also pretty unlikely, especially from Greg. Sam just isn't checking twice with anything strong. The button is sort of the wild card, but checking back the flop kind of caps him. If anyone were trapping on the flop, I'm the most credible one at the moment, since Greg, the aggressor, acts after me. So I go for an overbet of $100. I decide on this sizing because I'm trying to fold out Jack X, and also like even Queen X with questionable kicker. I want that holding to be super uncomfortable if someone happens to be pot controlling on the flop with that. So if I get a caller, there are some missed river cards I'll be jamming with. Yeah, Greg calls. The button also calls. Sam folds. Not quite what I wanted or expected, but my plan doesn't really change too much. Greg still shouldn't have ace-queen or stronger here, and the button caps himself yet again, right, by flat calling. The river comes. A magical 8. I bink the nut straight. So here, naturally, I jam all in. Almost exactly pot size at this point. Greg goes in the tank for a long time. So it really seems like he has a good bluff catching hand here. In the end, he finds a call. Surprisingly, the button also calls. So I table my hand, and of course, the nuts is the winner. I had a suspicion of what Greg had, and I later asked him to confirm it. I asked if he specifically had Queen 9, and he told me yes. And I'll tell you guys why it was so unlucky for Greg to have that. He blocks 9-10, which is what I have, and he unblocks King 10. So my overbet on the turn was repping either super strong or one of those hands. If the river completed a straight with King 10, like ace or 9, I was likely going to jam as well. So he basically called my bluff on the turn, but unfortunately, well, very fortunately for me, I just binked with the hand that he blocks. So yeah, we've put each other in these spots quite a bit in the past, so it was a bit of a coin flip for him. Yeah. This hand, I pick up pocket jacks in the small blind. Greg is under the gun and opens to $15. Everyone folds to the cutoff, who calls. Sam on the button folds. So I 3-bet to $60. The big blind folds. Greg 4-bet rips it all in. The cutoff gets out of the way and the action is back on me. So there are a few factors in play. Greg definitely has a 4-bet jamming range. He's also stuck at this point. So I actually think he's been playing really well this session, but just one of those nights that cards are not going his way. I think here he can have, queens, kings, aces, all the hands that beat me, but also just as likely to have ace king, any pockets, and even like ace 5 suited. So I actually let him choose my action. Since he was stuck, I told him, if you want the action, I'll call and we can run it twice. If you want my $60, I'll just fold it to you right now. And then he decides that he wants the action. So I flick in the call. He indeed has ace king, and then we run 2 boards. I don't remember what comes, but it doesn't matter. My jacks hold on both boards. And Greg, unfortunately, remains unlucky, losing 2 coin flips in a row. For this hand, my main villain is Buffalo Sam. He has agreed to be nice enough to share his thoughts as well. So later on, I will be filming an appearance by him to talk about this hand. Yeah. So this hand, I pick up ace queen of hearts in the big blind. The hijack opens to $15. Cutoff and button folds. Sam in the small blind cold calls. So pretty easy spot for me to 3-bet squeeze. I make it $60. And they both call. It's 3-way into a flop of deuce 4-5 with 2 clubs. Sam checks to me. In a multi-way 3-bet pot, I don't always c-bet as the aggressor, but here I do decide to c-bet for $50 because I don't mind this spot too much. Actually, I have position over Sam, who is my biggest threat just because we're the deepest. At this point, no other player on the table has like a stack depth that's even close. Both of the villains' ranges are pretty capped with no 4-bet. Hijack cold calling a 3-bet. So especially with Sam, a capable player, like flat calling twice, I immediately put him on a really strong drawing hand that just really wanted to see a flop. But yeah, if you know Sam like I do, he could be in here with anything right now. Minus the really strong like premium hands. In this configuration, I think c-betting does take it down a lot, or at least the hijack shouldn't be continuing too often. And even if Sam connected with this flop, I imagine he wouldn't go too crazy because he's out of position against me, the only player that covers him, or so I thought. The hijack folds, and then Sam check raises me to $200. So now I know that Sam has something, obviously. He could have all the sets that I don't, but my hand also unblocks like all the draws, right? Club draws, combo draws. I know he's not doing this with medium overpairs. I think it's pretty close between him having hands that beat me and lose to me, I call. I have the effective like no pair here because Sam will just never have ace king. I think that Sam would put me on an overpair after this call, and it's more or less gonna be a game of chicken on the turn. Anyways, the turn is a king. Sam does not slow down and bets $450. I tank for a long time, and you guys might be asking like, what am I even thinking about here with ace high? So there's quite a bit. After this turn card, king, I actually do have the nut no pair here, and I'm beating almost all nut flush draws, right? If Sam had something like a suited wheel ace type hand that really connects strongly with his board, I think he would have 3-bet or 4-bet pre-flop. I'm still putting him mostly on this polarized range of sets or club draw. So the king on the turn would essentially be a brick to him, unless he has king X of clubs. But I believe if he did hit a pair of kings on the turn, he would slow down and check because he now has showdown value, and he would want to navigate to showdown instead. Anyways, his sizing is pretty much telling me he's setting up for a river jam. I'm not sure he's actually going to jam every river, but I'm already thinking for that street that, yeah, I'm possibly calling down like any non-club river if I do call this turn. Anyways, after a couple minutes of tanking, I decide to fold. Yeah, I know, pretty anticlimactic after all that analysis, but that's what I'm here to do, right? Tell you my thought process. We do reveal our cards to each other. He shows me 10 jack of clubs, and I tell him I have ace high. And he told me, jokingly of course, if I called him with ace high here, we are not friends anymore. Anyways, let's now cut to Sam's perspective and thoughts. Okay, I have here with me my buddy Buffalo Sam. We're going to talk about the hand we played the other night at River Rock against each other. Right now, I would have just finished reviewing it with my viewers from my perspective. So, first question to you. How nervous and how much were you sweating when I was tanking on that turn bet of yours for 450?
Not too much.
Not too much?
If you don't have kings, you're still going to be in the blender on the river.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not even close, right? You were just so confident, right? That
No. I check raise. My fate is sealed. I'm putting all the money in.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. On the flop, you check raised me to $200.
Yeah.
And yeah, so what were you thinking? Like, what did you put me on, and what was your thought at that time?
I thought it was very likely an overpair. You bet into 2 players on a board that's not too great for you.
Mm-hmm.
We both have sets pure there. You don't. And we have quite a few bluffs as well. And then I could also check raise some top pairs as well, like some 5-6 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I like my sizing. 4x there against the small size.
Okay. So you did put me on the possibility of overpair, right?
I thought you most likely had an overpair, but I also didn't think you'd call it down.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's why he's so good. Okay. And then now I want to ask you, like, when you let out on the turn, was your plan to jam any river basically at that point?
Well, I didn't really lead out because I check raised the flop. I just kept barreling.
Okay. Yeah.
I bet 450 to set up for the river shove. It was like 80% and then 80% on the river.
Yeah.
Turn river.
Yeah.
No, there's a few rivers I give up for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't just blast off Jack 10. I think Jack or 10, I'd be fine just taking my showdown. And then board pairs, I think I'd drop quite a few flush draws. Yeah, the board pairs, I'm dropping quite a few.
Okay. I think my thinking was because when I tanked for so long on the turn, if I called that turn, I think I would have committed myself to calling any brick on the river that wasn't a club. So a lot of non-club rivers you would give up there?
No. A lot of
Yeah.
9 of diamonds, I'm going for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would have been like super tough for me. So, and that's the reason I didn't call that turn, because I know it wasn't going to be like a $450 bluff catching hand. It was going to be a 1 point or 1700, 1800, whatever we were.
600. But 450 be 1450, so 1200. So probably like 1600 behind at that point. Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna pile in there.
there you guys have it. Outplayed by Buffalo Sam, and
I got you to fold ace high. It's not that big of a deal.
were you surprised when I told you I had ace high there?
No.
Not really.
No, I get called down pretty light.
Well, one thing about because having like a lot of hand history with each other, I just knew you were taking that line with flush draws and maybe even like double gutters, like 6-8 suited, or even like 6-8 with one club. And you guys will be asking, he was never in there in the 3-bet pot, but he was closing the action pre-flop, and we were just like ridiculously deep in 1-3 there. But yeah, I just know you're taking that line with so many random, like your range is so wide.
Yeah.
But
you also lose
couldn't
some of
do-
my bluffs. Like I'm gonna turn bottom pair into a bluff there quite often.
Yeah. So anyways, that's it. Thank you for your cameo here.
Yeah.
And remember to check out Buffalo Sam's channel.
Enjoy the rest of his video.